Hi writers, welcome back to the Writing Lab with Eva Pohler. I'm Eva Pohler, a USA Today best-selling author of over 45 novels. I've been a professor of writing for over 3 decades and an editor. And today we're diving into one of the most essential elements of storytelling, point of view. Well, what is point of view? Point of view has 2 primary components: who speaks, which is the narrator's voice, and who sees, which is the perspective of the character or focalizer, okay? Together, these shape how the story unfolds to the reader. So you want to be sure that you choose point of view strategically, okay? So first, we have the first person, also known as the participant narrator, okay? In this case, the participant narrator, first person narrator, tells the story from that first person point of view using I or we, and they're part of the action, okay? There are 3 types: your regular, reliable first person narrator, an unreliable first person narrator, and then a naive one who doesn't get the, what the story really means. So the reliable one gets the facts of the story straight, the unreliable does not. And the naive one gets the facts right, but doesn't interpret them correctly, okay? Here's a passage from Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart, which is an example of an unreliable first-person narrator, okay? You fancy me mad. Mad men know nothing, but you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded, with what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. So this narrator is trying to prove his sanity while describing a murder that he committed. The more he insists, the less we trust him, and that's classic unreliable narration. Now, the other type of point of view is third person, or what's also known as a non-participant narrator. A non-participant narrator uses third person like he, she, they. They're not a part of the story, but are observing it from the outside, and there are some variations of that as well. You can have the limited omniscient third person, which follows one character or focalizer, and we see them, orienting the entire story. Then there's the omniscient narrator who moves between characters and shows us various different perspectives, okay? Then there's the dramatic, which is kind of like a fly on the wall or maybe a play where it's mostly dialogue and some setting description. And then there's the overt or editorial narrator, which is a narrator whose personality is coming through that veil, who is offering commentary and judgments about their characters. So those are some variations on the third person non-participant narrator. Now let's contrast this omniscient passage from Kate Chopin's The Storm, where she uses the third person non-participant fully omniscient narrator with what we just heard about from Poe. This is from The Storm. The rain was over, and the sun was turning the glistening green world into a palace of gems. Calixta on the gallery watched Alcée ride away. He turned and smiled at her with a beaming face, and she lifted her pretty chin in the air and laughed aloud. Now, Chopin is writing The Storm at a time when she's trying to defend women's sexuality, trying to expose misogyny and double standards, and also trying to revolt against class differences that cause people to be in unhappy marriages. And so her main character, Calixta, is in a somewhat okay marriage because of class. She wasn't able to be with Alcée, who's one of the, protagonists in the story. And in this story, The Storm, they have an affair. The storm is the physical storm, but it's also this very powerful moment between these 2 characters. And it's important for Chopin to show all of the different points of view, because otherwise we might think that this extramarital affair had bad repercussions on some of the characters, but we find out it didn't. Everybody benefits from this from this moment of pure chemistry. So that's why we need a third-person narrator telling this story, so we can have privy to the thoughts of all these different characters, so that we can understand the storm's message. So, unlike Chopin, Poe wanted us to dive deep into the psyche of a madman. And that's why the story works so well in first person. We're trapped in the narrator's mind, whereas Chopin wants to float between characters so that we can see the impact that this extramarital affair had on all of them, which was positive. Now, here's a tip. Choose your narrator and focalizers strategically based on what emotional effect you want to achieve. So that's it. Thanks for watching the Writing Lab with Eva Pohler. I hope this helped, and if it did, clarify the idea of point of view, please let me know in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe, ring the little bell so that you can be notified of my future videos. Don't forget to grab a free copy of my writer's guide, The Science of Story. It'll have links down in the description below. And I have a question for you, and I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Do you prefer writing in first person or third? And why? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, keep writing. Bye.